in teaching pronunciation, not at all. and so I hope you're not disappointed, but what I do have is more than 35 years of experience. And some of these techniques I'm going to show you, I have been using for 30 years. Why do I keep using them? Because my students say that they're helpful. And I note and I hear how helpful they actually are. So I have quite a few different practical tips to share with you of things that I have tried and that work, at least work for me. But in the WhatsApp thread that we have had going for some weeks now, somebody asked a really great question earlier this week. What's the best way to teach pronunciation? And I get that kind of question a lot about a lot of topics. What's the best way to teach blah, blah, blah? So there's no real answer to that. We talk in teaching English or in all language education, we talk about best practices. But as teachers, we have to be very careful. What does best practices mean? Well, it's going to depend and change depending on who are your students. What is their objective for learning the language? Do you speak the same language as them? Do they all speak the same language as each other? Are they children? Are they teenagers? Are they adults? Can they read? Are they literate or not literate? There's so many different factors that are going to affect what best practices are. So I am going to show you some activities and different ideas, and we'll talk a little bit about the underlying theory. But I want you to come away with the idea that you might need to adapt some of these ideas to your teaching context. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly check the chat and see if there's thank you so much, Isaac. Okay, so let's move on right here. So embrace teaching pronunciation, practical daily tips that work. Here's the other reason that I have this imperative here, is that there are many ideas that teachers have that, I can't teach it. My pronunciation isn't so wonderful. Okay, I'm not a native speaker of English, so I'm just going to put it over here. I'm going to hide from teaching pronunciation. So my hope is that everybody in this session will discover that they can and should be teaching pronunciation a little bit every day, at least. And let's see. Amiruddin, you have a question? Okay, well, I'll wait until a little bit later. Oh, perhaps not. Okay, so let's quickly look at I loved, Ms. Doreen, that you talked about the objectives for IELTS. So here are our objectives for today, for this session. And then I'll give you a little overview of what we will do. So my hope is that you all will be able to practice using these techniques that we co-explore with the group. Now, I would rather that we were together in the same room, and then it's really, really fun to do it. But I've done it this way online also, and we can do it, especially if you really try. And then I hope that you will take these ideas and then adapt them to the ideas that we're exploring and the activities, adapt them to your own teaching context. You may not be able to do it exactly, but I bet you'll be able to just tweak it a little bit, as we say. And then also, I hope that you will apply relevant underlying assumptions and theory to your own teaching contexts. So our agenda is we'll start with a little warm-up video. I have a very funny little, I think, and my students and other participants have liked it, a video of a stand-up comic who is not a native English speaker, and he does some very funny things. I'm going to take a quick poll to find out your experience with teaching pronunciation. We'll discuss some of the underlying assumptions and theory that I'm basing my activities on. I'm going to show you about using online dictionaries and a technique called back chaining for application practice. another technique called shadowing, and then we'll do some chanting practice. All right, so let's first warm up with my friend Gad. He's not really my friend. I don't know him. But I love this comic. He's so funny. And his name is Gad Elmaleh, and he's actually from France, but he lives here in the United States now. And he was a really famous stand-up comic in France, in Paris. And then he just decided to come here and learn English, and now he's a stand-up comic in English too. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Guys, English language is hard for French speakers. You don't realize, because it's natural for you. Not only that we need to know the words, we need to know where to put the emphasis on the right syllable. I don't know why they did that, to make it more complicated. I don't understand. Even in the word emphasis, I don't know where to put this emphasis. I don't know if you say emphasis or emphasis or emphasis. I don't know. I'm confused. And the accent, we have an accent, the accent, right? I live in the US now, and sometimes I feel if I don't have the good accent, they don't get it, they don't understand, they don't meet me halfway. I jumped in a cab in New York City a few weeks ago. I said to the driver, please take me to JFK Airport. And instead of J, the guy had no idea what I was talking about. I said, sir, forget about the J or the G, whatever. Just, I mean, how many places do you know in New York City with an F and K in an airport? You know what, if I was a cab driver and you asked me to take you to KFC Airport, I take you to JFK Airport. Let's imagine some Americans come to visit to Paris. They're lost, they see me in the street, they come to me. I won't stop, but let's imagine. Imagine, they just mix it up. They're like, oh, we're looking for the iPhone tower. I'm not gonna go like, oh, the Apple store, come with me. No. Anyway, so this cab driver kept correcting my accent, and he was Indian. I said, sir, we're both immigrants. We should be helping each other. And by the way, you maybe got the J thing right for JFK, but you said airport.
Okay, that's it for Gad Elmaleh. But I hope that you can check out his name here and check out his whole special. You can find it on YouTube. He's really, really funny, and I love his humor about learning the language. Okay, so I think that we can agree, that many of us can agree, that English is crazy, okay? English is a crazy language. Why? Because it's such a mix and mishmash of so many different languages. We have the Latin influence, we have the Saxon Germanic influence, and then we have loanwords from everywhere in the world. Now, think about how these words are pronounced in English. Now, I have to move us all over here for a minute. So, let's see. Oh, sorry. Uh-oh. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. All right. So, though, through, cough, rough, plow, ought, borough, right? All of these words end in O-U-G-H, but we have the O-U-G-H as O as in go, U as in through or to, off as in offer, rough like in suffer, uff as in suffer rather, ow as in flower, aw as in saw, and like an in above. Okay, and this one is a little bit more regional. I don't hear this one as often, but the others you hear all the time, right? So how are people supposed to learn how you pronounce things, right? Crazy. So this is something, though, that I have discovered, that when I tell my students English is crazy, I can see them kind of, oh, okay, it's not just me. Even my teacher is saying English is crazy. And I think sometimes when we reassure our students, it really helps them to just kind of relax and open up their ears, open up their minds, and just, it's really hard to learn when we're tight and when we're scared and when we're nervous. So if we can get our students to just relax and enjoy the ride, they will be able to learn so much more. So I'd like to take a very quick little poll here. Please use the chat for this. And please be honest, because I know that I work with teachers every week who say, I don't teach pronunciation because I just don't feel confident in it. And I didn't either. When I first started, I had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful graduate education. My master's degree was one of the best studies ever. But interestingly, at that time, I think it's different now, but I was there 100 years ago. And I think at that time, we had no training in teaching, no formal training in teaching pronunciation. We had a few little techniques, and one of which I'm going to show you that I got in a methodology practicum. So here's the question. Thank you for the people who are already applying. Write in the chat 1, 2, 3, or 4. Do you teach pronunciation? Do you work with some pronunciation every day? 1. 2, write 2 if you do it once in a while. Do 3 if you have a systematic way that you address it. And be honest, 4 if you never do it. You just don't, I don't feel confident teaching pronunciation. I'm hiding from you, and pronunciation's back here. But it's nipping at you, right? Because it's something that we should be doing, a little bit of it, actually. All right, look at that. We have a lot of people saying every day. We have a lot more people saying once in a while. A few people saying systematically. Wonderful. And I think I'm not seeing any 4s yet. In my last workshop, I had a few people who said, oh, here's a 4. Yeah, good. Okay, thank you for saying that. All right, excellent. Oh, another 4. Okay, great. I hope you get some ideas today to take with you. Fantastic. All right. So let's take a few minutes and just look at some underlying assumptions that inform my teaching of pronunciation. So we teachers, we know very well the importance of teaching pronunciation to English language learners, but we face many, many challenges to make it happen with overpacked curricula, right? We know that there's, when am I going to fit pronunciation in? Or lack of native and non-native speaking teachers' confidence. Okay, so this is true for both native speakers and non-native speakers. Oh, and somebody said, I want the PowerPoint. I will be happy to share at the end a PDF of this PowerPoint. I will be happy to send it out. My email address will be on here at the end, and you send me an email, I'll send you the PowerPoint, the PDF. So we have lack of confidence, right? Both now, we understand that why non-native speaking teachers might feel a little less confident teaching pronunciation. And I'm going to address that point very, very clearly. And the research is really clear on this right now. But you should understand too, as non-native speakers, that native speaking teachers also have a lot of avoidance, shall we say, a lot of I'm not teaching pronunciation, I don't do it, or I do it once in a while, but not systematically or regularly. Then there's also, of course, the questions, and somebody asked this in our WhatsApp thread, which regional pronunciation do we teach, right? I mean, are we teaching American pronunciation? And if we're talking about American pronunciation, what is American pronunciation? It's so different. If you talk to somebody on, our, from the south of my country, it's going to sound very different than if you talk to somebody on the from the east part of our country or the west part of our country or the north, okay? And that's just the United States. Then Canada has a different kind of, slightly different pronunciation. Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain, Ireland, okay? So what pronunciation do we teach, right? So you have to work with the pronunciation that we have. So there are many more reasons why English language teachers kind of aren't clear and aren't sure about what to teach in pronunciation. Another challenge is that many of the educational resources are geared for native speaking teachers, right? However, that's a problem because as Kanagaja way back in 1999 said, non-native speakers already back then comprised most of the ELTs, English language teachers worldwide. And then even by 2005, that number nearly doubled. And so now it's said that more than 80% of English language teachers are not native speakers. This is a new abbreviation I'm seeing, non-native English speaking teachers, or NESTs, native English speaking teachers. Okay, so what does that mean for us? Okay, well, the English language field does not want to be imposing a colonial view of pronunciation on the rest of the English speaking world. Okay, we understand that there is such a thing as Cambodian English and Peruvian English and Tajik English and Ghanaian English and Ukrainian and Korean and Afghan and Icelandic and Moroccan English, right? English is now the current lingua franca for many, many fields. It's the language of science, it's the language of international business, it's the language of international medicine, and some other fields as well. So the pronunciation that you should be doing is your own pronunciation, but I'm going to give you a few little tips. Now, interestingly, the field of English language teaching even knows, they recognize this. We have created a count plural noun that reflects all this. And we say world Englishes, right? We used to never say Englishes, but now we have created this noun to respect and recognize that we are all really, that we're all speakers of English, and we just have to train our own ears and our students' ears to be receptive to a variety of different sounds. But we'll be talking about that in just a moment. So that does not mean, however, that all spoken language is comprehensible, acceptable, or effective, right? So those are three criteria that we want to think about in working with your own pronunciation, if you are a non-native speaker of English, and your students and what we work with. So educators have to choose tools that promote our students' development for their specific context, right? I'm not going to teach the same way, pronunciation the same way here in the United States that I am in Peru, for example, maybe. I might do some different, have some different expectations. We also have to choose tools that increase student comprehensibility, not only in our classes, but in the outside world. Because, as Lane says, non-teachers are a tough audience, right? And our friend Gad Elmaleh had a wonderful example with the cab driver, right? The cab driver, he heard GFK instead of JFK airport. And he acted like he didn't know what the guy was saying at all. So we have to kind of open our ears for a little bit more variation. But we have to also understand that teachers work really hard to understand our students and each other, but other people are not going to work that hard to do that. Okay, other people who are not teachers may not work as hard to try. So we do have to try to make our pronunciation get close enough to be able to be comprehensible. So as Trich Yoshida says, and I think this is a really important point, educators should not set goals too high, and I would say to unrealistic expectations. You know, you can't teach somebody most people are not going to learn how to speak like a native speaker, to sound like that. But why should they? They don't have to. We don't need to sound like a native speaker. So educators should not set goals too high, but it's a mistake to set the expectations or goals too low through avoidance, right? So this is my point. So let's just embrace teaching pronunciation and do the best we can. Okay, and Jeline says that for actions to become automatic, deliberate practice and multiple repetitions are required, and that is absolutely key, and that absolutely is true in my experience. That I do a little bit of pronunciation every single day. I also give my students a lot of opportunity to just talk freely every day, and by developing their fluency, their pronunciation starts falling into place. And by inserting brief daily practice, we enable students and teachers to build skills and confidence incrementally, right? Step by step by step by step. And we raise awareness of the ongoing challenges pertaining to intelligibility in multiple settings, because that's actually the bottom line, as we say, okay? That's the most important part is, are we communicating? Okay, if you're getting your message across, great, fantastic. If your listeners are constantly saying, hey, what, then you might need to be working on that's a clue that you're going to need to work on your or your students' pronunciation. So the question then becomes, what causes someone to not be understood? Okay, there are some factors. So here's something we can work on. Incorrect word stress, especially where the words can be confused with other words that have a different meaning. So that's going to cause a break in communication. Here's an example that has come up so many times in my classes. We had this reading in our textbook, and there was the word complexity. And we were listening to, I was teaching a speaking listening class, so we were listening to it first, just audio. And then I asked my students to write some of the words on the board in pairs. And it was interesting how many of them wrote complex city instead of complexity, okay? Because that's what they heard. So that was, I thought, really, really interesting to me. So incorrect word stress can cause a breakdown in communication. Or incorrect intonation. Okay, and this is really common. So for example, if you're using a monotone, but when you're using a monotone, right? When really your intonation should be going up for, or when you use rising intonation for statements. So I went to the market yesterday. Well, that sounds kind of an odd message, because a confusing message, because the grammar is a statement, but the intonation was for a question. So sometimes that can actually make a big difference. And lack of inclusion of key sounds in a word, especially if there's not enough context, or too many variations of sound and or stress. And I have quite a few examples of those I've collected from observations. So for example, incorrect pronunciation of certain sounds, where different pronunciation is a different word with a completely different meaning. For example, scarce versus scars. Okay, so the word scars is often mispronounced as scarce, scarce or scars. All right. So let's play a quick little guessing game now. And you can put your guesses into the chat. Now, I have not been checking the chat here. Okay, great. Thank you. What English word is this person trying to say? Bayaba. Bayaba. Okay, first take a few guesses and then I will, and put them in the chat, and then I will give you some hints. What word, single word, one word, this person was saying Bayaba. What do you think it might have been? Because it wasn't Bayaba. That's not an English word. Any guesses? I'll give you a hint. Oh, baby. That's a great one. Okay, baby, Bible, barber, bab, Biber. Excellent. Okay, what else? Bible, nice. Great. Barber. Those are really good guesses. Okay, really good guesses. Here comes another hint for you. Context clues. This was spoken by a waiter in a hotel restaurant. Baby, good one. By and by. Oh, I love it. Or bye-bye. Viber. Nice. Okay, here's another clue. It was in Vietnam. I don't know if that will help. Bye-bye. Good. A lot of people saying, oh, baobab. I love that, Samuel. Okay, here's another clue. He was offering the guest a cold drink right after she checked into the hotel. Bear bar. I love it. Okay, keep your guesses. Beer, good. Bibber. Okay, so any guesses now what this might be? Bayaba. Bear bat. Beer bar. Beer bar. Bear bar. Oh, these are great. Okay, here we go. 3 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here, oh wait, one more hint is lack of inclusion of key sounds, especially if you don't have any context. Then there are too many variations to latch onto, right? And so that's what was happening in this example. Oh, I never said it. I don't have it written down. I thought I had it written down here. Okay, I am going to put it in the chat. Pineapple. Okay, right? Okay, he was, so the thing is, there was just too much variation for, and this did not happen to me, this happened to my colleague, and she is an English teacher too, and a wonderful, wonderful English teacher, but she couldn't get what he was saying because there was too much variation, both with the vowels and the consonants. And yeah, seriously. And so it's very tricky. You know, our ears and our brains can account for a lot of variation. We actually can, but Bayaba was just too far away from pineapple. Exactly, Doreen, exactly right. So if there's too much variation, then that's what we've got. That's a good starting place to work with our students, is to find the things that pull their pronunciation back just a little bit closer to what the word should sound like, even with a lot of variety acceptable, because we do want to accept a lot of variety, and we are capable. Even the tough audiences, even non-teachers, are capable of understanding different pronunciation as long as it's not too far off of the model. So, and even in the same language, there is so much variation, right? So much variation. Look at all these donuts, right? Well, they're all donuts, but they're different. They're different flavors, right? Well, the same is true in pronunciation. And I have a little video, a very brief video that I'm going to show you. This is one of my students sent this to me. I'm not on TikTok, but she sent this to me, and I think it's really hilarious.
Hi, can I take your order?
Hello, mate. Can I please have a...
Wait, are you British?
Yeah, why?
It's just that, the translator isn't here. It's just me, so...
But we both speak English. It's not like I'm talking another language.
Hey, you know what? I can do this. May I take your order?
Right. So, can I please have a tomato sandwich with aubergine, courgette, a packet of crisps, and a bottle of water? Cheers, mate. Oh, and a cookie for pudding.
Get out. Get out. I said get out!
Okay. So
Hi, can I?
there we go. So what we want to do, one place to start, and this has helped me a lot over the years, is to pay attention to pronouncing, to hitting final consonant sounds. I've just from watching, so I observe, in my work as a reviewer and I've observed hundreds and hundreds of teachers, which is such a luxury and so wonderful. And one of the things that I have noticed is that when students or teachers don't hit that final consonant sound, it often causes a breakdown in communication. Okay. So not hitting them hard enough makes them sound like other words and causes confusion, right, for the listener. So here are examples that I've collected up from classrooms and from teachers and students. So, and this was from a teacher in South America that I had observed, where she was giving a lesson about phrasal verbs, but she didn't have any visual, a slide about it yet. She was just introducing it orally at first. And she didn't say verbs. She said the S, but not the B sound. And so what I heard was phrasal verse. I actually thought she was about to start a lesson on poetry. But then I saw these 2-word verbs. And it's like, oh, she said phrasal verbs. But I did not hear phrasal verbs, and she was doing that, and her students were saying phrasal verse. So that's another issue, is if your pronunciation, we want to make sure we're setting good models for our students. So pay attention in your own speaking and also with your students to getting those final consonant sounds, because that really helps make the communication clearer. Another example, Starbucks sounded like Starbus, okay, which sounds like something completely different than Starbucks. Or worry, in different classes, it sounded like work or were or several different other words, but not worry. Bookcase, this was one that I saw in several different classes that I thought was interesting too, because the teachers were leaving off both the k and the s. And so it sounded like, instead of bookcase, it sounded like bouquet. Okay, which means something completely different. That's a group of flowers, right, that we give to people, because in English we use the French word. We have a bouquet of flowers. So for them, both the final consonant was missing in both syllables. Or the word point, okay, sounding like point, missing the t sound. Okay, so that could send the wrong message. Or accept, sounding like accept. Okay, with the final T too soft to hear. Okay, so these are all just examples of things that we want to be paying attention to, the final consonant sounds, because that will really help make our speaking and our pronunciation and our students' pronunciation a little bit clearer. Here's just some other challenges. So examples that I've heard that send the wrong message. So the word minutes pronounced like minutos. Okay, or rates sounding like rights. Different words, 2 different words. Minutos is not a word in English, so I kind of figured it out from what she was saying, but I wasn't positive at first. And it was a bad model for the students. I thought, minutos, we don't want to be teaching our students minutos for minutes. Maybe minutes, no problem. Okay, our ears can absolutely adjust to that. But minutos it sounds like a different word, and it's unclear what it is. Rates and rights, okay, 2 different words. Aging and Asian, 2 different words. Rise and rice, 2 different words. chair and share, or share and chair. I hear those a lot, actually, kind of mixed up. And again, different words. So then that's going to cause confusion. And then here's one this is one that I use this example, especially for working with native Spanish speaking teachers, because as I'm observing classes, saying the word focus, just be very careful. If you use the word focus, make sure you make your mouth an O, right? You want to O, because if you use it as an which I hear a lot, it's a really different word in English. And it's a very ugly word, very bad expression, and I'm not going to say it here because we're being recorded. But just be careful if you use the word focus, because it comes off as a very terrible expression in English if you substitute U for the O. Okay, the first O. The us is fine, that's perfect, but make sure it's O, not okay. And that's all I'm going to say on that. So now go ahead and think for a moment, what are some examples of too much variation? Do you have any examples? You can put them in the chat now. Do you have any examples of something like the Bayaba example, where there's just too much variation? You can go ahead and put that in the chat. Or, I'll give you all the different choices and you can put them all in. Or the lack of final consonants, or the changing of vowels, like right. There we go. Good. Rice and rise. Thank you, Edward. Exactly. Or anything else. And go ahead and you can put any examples that you've heard. Week and week. Well, that's for spelling, but actually has exactly the same pronunciation in English. Good. Where and were. Good. Okay, whether and weather are going to have the same pronunciation. That's a tricky one. Ask and axe. Ooh, that's a big one here in the United States. Fair and fair are just spelling differences, but they're pronounced the same, actually. What else have we got? Than and then. Ooh, good one, good one. No and no, also just a spelling difference, same pronunciation. Snail and senile. Oh my gosh. Matu, I love that one. Rain and rain, same pronunciation, crazy. Different spelling, here and here. 8, sun and sun. Okay, so we're not talking about, I love your examples, but many of these examples are for spelling, and that's a different topic. They are actually going to have the same pronunciation, but you can put them both on the board and have students comparing them. And that's a really great way to get them to make the match between what they're seeing and what they're hearing. Okay, so those examples are great. Bet and bite, fantastic. Yeah, good. Vowels and vowels. Pears and purse. C and C, good. Oasis, nice. C and C, went and want, good one. There's assimilation and some rules that govern which consonants to be omitted, but you would realize that from the examples given that those consonants cannot be omitted. Yeah, sometimes that's, Alex, an interesting point, that is going to be lots of variation, and even in the United States, we have so much variation where we say, like, we push everything all together, right? So a lot of times what I will do is a technique I'm going to show you later, I'll put a whole sentence on the board, and then we will practice how it should actually sound in spoken English, okay? Because what we read and what we speak is really different a lot of times in English. Okay, you can keep putting your examples in. These are great. What and hot, nice. Okay, now here's another tool that I'm going to show you. We're getting into the section of the tools now and activities. So I've shared enough of the theory and underlying assumptions. So what I need to do is I have to go out of this Zoom for a second. And oops, new share. Where are you? Okay. Can you all see what says dictionary, thesaurus, Merriam-Webster? Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Can you see the dictionary? Oops, hold on. Yes, okay, great. Sorry, I had to scroll down. Lots of new messages. All right, so oops. Okay, so let's say you want to learn how to pronounce the word strategy. So this is a tool. Using online dictionaries is something that you can use for your own development, and it's really great. We encourage, I use this in other languages myself also, and this is a really good tool for teachers to continue their own professional development with your own pronunciation. And if your students have access to the internet and are able to use online resources like this, it's fantastic to use in classes with students. So let's look at this word strategy. And then look what happens when you get this. So first of all, you've got all these great, all the definitions. And this is, I think, one of the best factors.
Strategy, strategy, strategy.
And I don't know why this works, but I always ask my students to say things 3 times or to listen 3 times. There's something about it, because I think with one time it evaporates too quickly and our brains don't have quite enough time to latch onto it. Certain really effective language students might be able to, but yes, this is a really good strategy, and then strategy for learning the words, and you can practice and listen 3 times. When I'm asking my students to pronounce their names, for example, on the first day, I always ask them to say their name 3 times. Say it 3 times, and I close my eyes. I shut out everything else so I can really focus on the sound. They say it 3 times, and then I make a little phonetic, a phonetic word of how they're pronouncing their name on my sheet so that I can learn it properly, because I don't have the luxury of knowing exactly how to pronounce all my students' names. And especially with certain languages like Chinese that have tones to them, it's very easy to mess up their names. And that's another topic for another conversation, but I really try very carefully not to be able to pronounce everybody's names. Okay, now I'm going to show you one other. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on. This is the one I want. All right, can you see the Longman dictionary now? Great, thank you, Doreen. Okay, so, hold on, sorry. Okay, difficult. And I really like the Longman one. The Longman dictionary is especially useful, I think. Look at all the different things it has. So the Merriam-Webster has a lot of different resources also, but one thing I love about this one is
Difficult, difficult, difficult.
so the red is the British pronunciation.
Difficult, difficult, difficult.
And the blue is American pronunciation. Then we have all the different, we have examples with the sound.
A difficult question.
So it's not hearing just one word isolated, but hearing it more in a context and with the intonation.
A difficult question.
An immensely difficult task. Was the exam very difficult?
It's difficult to see how more savings can be made.
Okay, so you can have, this is a fantastic resource. Then there's the thesaurus, all right, to work with. There's so, I mean, I see this page and my ideas start popping to use with my students. Then there's collocations checks, and then examples from the corpus. So then these are examples that are found out in the world. And so look how many different possibilities there are to be able to check out. So I highly encourage everybody to check out these online dictionaries and use them both for your own development and as with your students. So again, as a teacher, if you are unsure how to pronounce a word, these are fantastic resources. And if students have access to the internet, either in class or out of class, they can learn. And then one idea is you can have them teaching each other, running little workshops. Okay, so that's a great way to reinforce it for them, is for them to be helping their peers to just get a little bit closer to the pronunciation. And again, we want to make sure that we understand that some variation is fine. Our brains can deal with it. Our ears can deal with it. But if there's too much variation in either pronunciation or intonation, then that's when we're going to have a breakdown in communication. So take a moment or think about, I'm just going to give you a moment, but start thinking about how you could create a lesson or a class using one of these tools. Now, all right, here we go. Now we're getting to the real practice part of this session. So back in the 1970s, and even a little bit earlier, Charles Curran and Jenny Bell Raridan were they were doing that. This was back in the methods days, and they were doing a whole method called community language learning, counseling learning, community language learning. And that's pretty much gone away now, although I have a few things, the conversation circles I still find very useful. But this for me was the most useful technique I learned in that methodology. More recently, Penny and Scott Thornbury have called it back chaining. So it used to be called backward buildup. Now the term is more back chaining, and you will see back chaining. No, I don't think anybody calls it backward buildup anymore, but that's the idea of it. So it's really useful for both individual multisyllabic words, right? So long words, and then also longer communications. And we'll do some examples. And you can take examples from your textbook or other curriculum material, from an authentic material, such as a movie or a video or, a song, or whatever is giving your students trouble right now. But don't interrupt them. That's another question that somebody had that was really great. Listen, make a note in your notes, and then practice later. Don't interrupt your students to try pronunciation. I think they can't hear it, and it's disruptive to their flow and their thinking. And in general, with back chaining, they say use about 10 words maximum if it's a longer sentence or communication. I have a couple that I've done a little bit longer, but I do find that after about 10 words, my students it starts breaking down, but they're always laughing. They think it's fun. My students love this. So let's practice now. I'm going to ask you to just practice in your own room. If we were all together, the whole room would fill with sound. But what I'd love you to do is listen. We have 4 multisyllabic words here, and I'm going to take you through. So my students know that when I do this, it means repeat after me. Okay, so listen first. I'm going to say the word 3 times. And listen, don't say anything. Don't repeat yet. Listen 3 times. And then when I start the first one, then you will repeat after me. Okay, so when I do this, you will repeat after me. So inappropriate, inappropriate, inappropriate. Okay, now carefully listen to the first syllable, because it looks like it should be 8, right? But did I say inappropriate? Inappropriate, right? So now repeat after me. Ut. Priut. Appropriate. Appropriate. Inappropriate. Okay, it's weird. I've never done this before where I can't hear everybody. So let's see. Okay, let's try another one. Uncharacteristic. Mr. Reen or Mr. Ebenezer, is it possible to unmute maybe like 3 or 4 people who would like to try this? So we can hear?
I think I would help you with that.
Okay, thank you. So Henda would like to be Alex,
Okay.
maybe Samuel. Are you feeling brave, Samuel? Okay, great. So are there a few people who are unmuted? All right, then let's do this together. So we'll try the second one. Now, again, don't repeat yet. Okay, Amofa maybe. Uncharacteristic. 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 Okay, repeat after me now. Tick.
Uncharacteristic.
Nope, first tick.
Tick.
Ristic.
Ristic.
Nice. Touristic.
Touristic.
Characteristic.
Characteristic.
Uncharacteristic.
Uncharacteristic.
You did it. You said that long word really beautifully. So how this works is, I don't know why it works. I honestly don't know why. I just know that it does work. When you somehow build up from the back and you kind of go from the back and then come into it, somehow our brains and our mouths start working together. Let's try one more together. Okay. Listen only the first 3 times. I repeat, multiplication, multiplication, multiplication. Okay. Shun. Repeat after me. Shun.
Shun.
Cation.
Cation.
Plication.
Plication.
Tiplication.
Tiplication.
Nice. Multiplication.
Multiplication.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, very good. And then we have and one more to try, the word denominator, right? That's a hard one for our students who are learning math, right? Denominator. Okay, so here we go. Again, just listen for the 3 times and then we'll do the repeating.
I'm going to unmute Mr. Amofa Patrick.
Yes, please. He wants to participate. Thank you. Okay. Excellent.
Please unmute yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so here we go, Mr. Amofa. All right. Repeat. Just listen first for the 3 times. Denominator. 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 Okay, now repeat after me. Tor.
Oh.
Oop, I didn't do that right, actually. Tor, denominator. Tur. It's more like tur.
Tur.
Good, nice. Nader.
Nader.
Minator.
Minator.
Nominator.
Nominator.
Denominator.
Denominator.
Very nice. Okay, that was beautiful. Great. Okay, now just I want to point out one quick thing for if you go to do this yourself. Sometimes building up, when you just doing building up the syllables extra doesn't work. So I left out one stage. I left out the racteristic because I've discovered that caused more confusion. So it wasn't a good tool. So I just went straight from touristic to characteristic. You see, the next one should have been racteristic, but because you break it up by syllables. So yeah, it's really, really interesting tool. It's not intuitive. I never would have known to do this on my own. And this is fantastic for, especially if you're working with academic skills and working with like words from the academic word list. So a lot of times my students, when they're reading or talking, they're having trouble with some of these long multisyllabic words. And so I will note on my paper, I don't interrupt them, but I note on my paper what I'm hearing. And then at the end of the activity, then we'll say, okay, here are a few words that we're giving people problems. Let's have a 5-minute pronunciation break. And yeah, we're going to do a whole lot more with this. Now, this is on the word level, but let's look at how. Okay, you already did your practice. We'll do some. We have a lot of practice coming up. So here's one that I created I was observing a teacher, and some of her students were having trouble reading this little dialogue that was in their textbook. So I thought, when we had our feedback session, I brought this example to show her, and I said, hey, check this out. You can look at what you can do with your students, and you can have them practicing this really nicely. So I'm going to invite a few people to unmute their, if we can, to unmute themselves. It would be good if we could have a few people at the same time doing it, because that will make it sound more like a class. So this came from either Summit or Top Notch. I can't remember which textbook it came from, but it was a whole unit on safe driving. And actually this particular activity and unit was on bad driving habits. So these were suggestions. So I'm going to say, listen only for the beginning. Don't say anything yet. I'm going to read the whole thing, how it should sound 3 times, and then we will build up from the last word, building up. So just follow me. So just listen first. Maintain a safe following distance. Maintain a safe following distance. Maintain a safe following distance. And this is actually great practice for me too, because when I was a little girl, I could not say L's. I had a speech impediment, and my whole name has L's all through it. So it was really, this is good for me, for my own pronunciation practice. Okay, so maintain a safe following distance. Now, for those of you who are participating, okay, repeat after me. Distance.
Distance.
Right. Following distance.
Following distance.
Safe following distance.
Safe following distance.
A safe following distance.
A safe following distance.
A safe following distance.
A safe following distance.
Maintain a safe following distance.
Maintain a safe following distance.
You sounded great. That was so good. Now, did you notice how I didn't say a safe? Okay. When it's in the middle of an exchange, we say a safe. Okay. Not a safe. We say a safe. Right. And so and that's why I asked you to repeat it a second time, and you got it perfectly on the second time there.
Yeah.
So excellent. Thank you, Doreen. So this is really, really useful. And my students just love this. They really love it. And what happens is when they get to the end of one, I find that they're, first of all, they're smiling. And second of all, they have this look on their face, like they're really kind of surprised that they did it. But what I love about it so much is that they turn off their brains, really, in a way. And they're just, I mean, obviously their brains are on, but they're not thinking about it. They're hearing it and feeling it. Okay. And the whole thing about pronunciation, in my opinion, is that it's our bodies that are so involved with it. It's a physical thing, not just a mental thing. So here are going to be some more examples. Okay, so here was another example from, and one of the teachers was doing personalization practice. It was a beginning level class with juniors. I think they were 7 and 8-year-olds, and they were talking about their families. And so she had her students working, taking a few minutes to talk about and write their own personal families. So here was one that came up that she used. I have a brother and 2 sisters. Okay, are my participants ready? Okay, we'll say it 3 times. I have a brother and 2 sisters. I have a brother and 2 sisters. I have a brother and 2 sisters. Okay, are we ready? Sisters.
Sisters.
2 sisters.
2 sisters.
And 2 sisters.
And 2 sisters.
Nice. A brother and 2 sisters.
A brother and 2 sisters. And 2 sisters.
Nice. I'm hearing. So do you hear how you're getting a brother and 2 sisters? Okay. Have a brother and 2 sisters.
Have 2 sisters. Brother and 2 sisters.
Nice. I have a brother and 2 sisters.
I have a brother and two sisters.
Okay, now here's my question for you. Yeah, practice time here. Is there anybody here who wants to try to be me, to lead this now? You be the leader of it. Anybody want to try? Who wants to try? Emmanuel, are you saying you want to try? Or Alex? Oh, Mr. Amofa. Okay, Amofa Patrick. Do you want to try?
Yes,
Oh, Alex.
Amofa.
Okay. Alex, you can do the next one.
Hello?
Hello. All right, we hear you now.
Yeah. Okay. Two sisters. I have a brother and two sisters.
Okay.
Sisters.
Sisters. Oops, I think you
Two
froze.
sisters.
Oh, there we go.
And two sisters. A brother and two sisters.
Okay, wait for us to
I have a brother
wait for
and
us to
two
repeat.
sisters. I have a brother.
Okay,
two sisters.
so give us a chance to repeat after you. Try again from sisters.
I have a brother and two sisters. Sisters.
Sisters.
Sisters.
Two sisters.
Two sisters.
Sisters.
And two sisters.
And two sisters.
Two sisters.
A brother and two sisters.
A brother, and
two sisters.
Have a brother and two sisters.
Have a brother
Have
and
a
two
brother
sisters.
and two sisters.
Oh, I think he froze.
I have a
Yeah.
brother and two sisters.
Good.
I have a
I
brother
have a
and two
brother
sisters.
and two sisters.
All right, applause for Amofa Patrick. Yay, nice job. Thank you so much, sir. All right, excellent. So let's see. Who else? Alex, did you want to try this one?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to try leading? Do you want this one or the last one? Maintain a safe following distance. Which one? You can choose.
Either of them, Prof. I'm okay with that.
All right, let's do this one then.
I have a brother and two sisters. I have a brother and two sisters. I have a brother and two sisters. Sisters. Two sisters.
Two sisters.
And two sisters.
And
And
two
two
sisters.
sisters.
A brother and two sisters.
A brother and two
Brother and two
sisters.
sisters.
Have a brother and two sisters.
Have a
I have
brother
a
and
brother
two
and two
sisters.
sisters.
I have a brother and two sisters.
I have
I
a
have
brother
a brother and two sisters.
Okay, nicely done. Miss Jackie, we'll give you a chance in the next one to practice. I have a lot of them here. So that would be great. Okay, can you feel and can you hear how not only does this help with the pronunciation of the word, but it really works with the rhythm and the stress and the intonation. It ties all of that together with a nice little bow, right? I'm just stunned at what an effective technique this is. I learned this in the 1980s, and I have been using it every day since. And my students really like it. Okay, now another way that we can use this is makes really great examples for yes to illustrate the rising intonation at the end of yes/no questions, for example. So, is she a teacher? Aren't they doctors? Did they move to Huanchaco? Aren't we leaving on Thursday? Would you like some more salad? Are you excited for your family's visit? That one actually. Are you excited for your family's visit? Okay. Have you ever been to Angkor Wat? Was teaching your first career choice? Okay, so do you hear how at the end of all of these, they go up at the end? So let's do one together. Let's see, how about, would you like some more salad? Okay. Would you like some more salad? Would you like some more salad? Would you like some more salad? Now notice, not would you, but would you, right? Would you like more salad? Okay, so this is a way to kind of teach how we blend words into each other as well sometimes. Excuse me. So, okay, now unmute yourselves, or if the ones who are participating. And salad. Who's anybody participating? Oh, I should give you a moment. Okay, we ready?
Miss Jackie.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Salad.
Salad.
Nice. More salad.
More salad.
Some more salad.
Some more salad.
Like some more salad.
Like some more
Like
salad?
some more salad.
You like some more salad?
You like some more
You
salad?
like some more salad?
Would you like some more salad?
Would you like some more
Would
salad?
you like some more salad?
Oh, so beautiful. How about would you?
Would you?
Would you?
Nice.
you?
Oh my
Would you?
gosh, that sounds so good. All right. So now, who wanted to take a turn to try to lead? And you can choose any one of these with the intonation at the end. I know that Miss Agnes earlier said that she wanted to try something. Maybe Miss Jackie or somebody.
Yes, Miss Jackie.
Okay, do you want to try and lead?
All right. Yes, please.
And remember to start 3 times with the one with the whole, so we can hear it all together first.
Okay. So I'll start. Would you like some more salad? Would you like some more salad? Would you like some more salad? Salad.
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 More salad.
More salad.
Some more salad.
Some more
Some more
salad.
salad.
Like some more salad.
Like some more salad.
salad.
Would you like some more salad?
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 Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was fabulous. Now, interestingly, I thought it was you put together would you both for the last 2, but I thought that was really interesting because we don't break that up usually so much. And so I thought it made it, I think your brain said, let's put these together. And it made sense, right? It made a lot of sense. And so there's nothing wrong with doing it that way sometimes. And when I'm chanting, I often will do that, which we're going to do some chanting at the towards the very end. Is there one more person who would like to try a different example?
Mr. Prince Echampon.
Okay, do you want to try? Which one are you going to do?
Yes, please. The second one.
Okay.
Aren't they doctors? Aren't they doctors? Aren't they doctors? Doctors.
Doctors.
They doctors.
They doctors.
They doctors.
Aren't they doctors?
Aren't they
Aren't they doctors?
Aren't they doctors?
Aren't they doctors?
Aren't they doctors?
Perfect.
Nice. Beautiful. Beautiful job. All right. Fantastic. Okay, we have more examples. So now we have, that was rising intonation for yes, no questions, but not all of the time, but most of the time, WH questions have falling intonation, right? Where are you going? Why would anyone do that? Who are those guys over there? Where do you take your car to be fixed? What's the best thing you did on your trip? When is her party? But this is interesting because this is how it changes. When is her party? You have no idea. So we use falling intonation. But when you think you know and you just want to confirm, when is her party? Then we use rising intonation. So we use intonation, which is a part of pronunciation. We use intonation to send messages all the time. So, and this is an area where students get confused sometimes and end up making something that causes a breakdown in communication because they're going up when they should go down, or they're going down when they should go up, right? So let's try one of these. Let's see. Let's try, why would anyone do that? Okay, there's so much craziness going on in the world. I ask this question every day. Okay, first time, why would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? Okay, do we have people who are ready to practice? And also at home, I hope that everybody's just practicing out loud, because it's helpful if you practice out loud. Okay, are we ready?
Well,
Okay, so.
we have one hand up.
Okay, 2 participants raising hands,
Two,
Faustina
okay,
and Mr. Amolfa Patrick. Okay,
Yes.
here we go, great. So why would anyone do that? Okay, repeat after me. That.
Why would anyone do that?
Oh, first, that. Remember, we're
That.
starting from the back. So we say the whole long thing so they can hear it, but then the buildup is from the back chaining, backward buildup. Okay, so that's how you remember. You start with the back side, because that's the trick to this. And I don't know why it works, it just does. So that. Do that.
Do that.
Anyone do that?
Anyone do that?
Would anyone do that?
Would anyone do that?
Why would anyone do that?
Why would anyone do that?
You did it perfectly. That was so great. That sounded so awesome. So when you lead something like that with your students, you're going to help them do something that they can't do on their own. And it gives them this feeling of accomplishment. I see it in their shoulders. I see it in their posture. They're not sitting there like this, Actually, I like to do it standing up sometimes, but even if they're in their chairs, their shoulders are back, their attention, they're engaged, because number one, it's easy. They can do it. They can follow it. It's really, really lovely. Okay. Is there somebody who wants to try one of these? Faustina? Oh, Agnes didn't get your chance yet. Okay. Faustina and Agnes, you can have a turn. So Faustina, you go first, and then Ms. Agnes.
Where are you going?
Where are you going?
Okay, remember, give it to us 3 times so our ears can get around it.
Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? Going. You going. Are you going?
You go.
Where are you going?
Are you
Where are
going?
you going?
Where are you going?
Where are you
Where
going?
are you going?
Where are you going?
Where are you
Where are you
going?
going?
Okay. You get a shaker on that, a maraca shaker. Fantastic. And do you hear how we are able to kind of put the words together a little, smush them together a little bit like we do, like native speakers would do, but in a way that makes it comprehensible for everybody to understand. All right, Ms. Agnes, you didn't have a turn yet, right?
All right.
Good.
Why would anyone do that? Would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? Would anyone do that?
Well, no, start from the back now. Start with that. And imitate. Here's the trick. You have to start from the, after you do the whole, why would anyone do that? Oops, somebody's drawing on the screen. Let's see if we can clear it all. There we go. So
Why
what
would anyone do
trick
that?
is that you say the whole thing 3 times, then you do one word at a time. I mean, start from the back and start with only the last word and then the last 2 words and then the last 3 words and build it back up from the back side. So
Right.
why would anyone do that? And then you do that, anyone
Right.
do that? Would anyone
Okay.
do that? Why would anyone do that? Okay, give it a try.
All right. Why would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? Would anyone do that?
Okay, now
Would-
here, let's try it this way. Ms. Agnes, try after me. Okay, repeat after me. Why would anyone do that?
Why would anyone do that?
Sorry, I gave you wrong directions. That was my fault. Just listen for the first 3. Why
Okay.
would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? Why would anyone do that? Okay, now repeat after me. That,
That.
do that.
Do that.
Anyone do that?
Anyone do that?
Would anyone do that?
Would anyone do that?
Why would anyone do that?
Why would anyone do that?
Great. Okay, now you try.
Okay. That. Oh, let me take it again. Why would anyone do that?
Nope. Build it up word by word. Okay.
All
Each
right. That.
good.
Do that.
Good. Do that.
Anyone do that?
Anyone do that?
Anyone do that?
Would anyone
Why
do
would
that?
anyone do that?
Why would anyone do that? Okay, very nice. So, Ms. Agnes, what you're going to want to work on is make sure you leave time for your students to repeat.
Okay.
And then don't forget to start from the back and build it up 1 word at a time, 1 or maybe 2 words at a time, but
Okay.
don't do the whole thing at once. The whole idea is to break it into pieces, but build from the back, from the end. All right,
Okay.
very nice.
Okay.
Woohoo! Good work. All right, let's move on to the next one. Oops, let me close that. Okay, so then we have other ones. We may not do too many examples with this because I want to make sure that I have enough time to show you the other things. But you can use back chaining for tag and negative questions that have rising intonation. So they're both doctors, aren't they? You wanted to go next, right? We're scheduled to leave on Saturday, no? You've met the new neighbors, haven't you? Okay, so that's all those tag questions. And now here are some negative questions. Aren't they living in Arequipa now? Weren't you going to take out the garbage? Or weren't you going to take out the garbage? Didn't she get married recently? Wasn't he working for the city then? Okay, Isaac, we will give you the next chance. Okay, now here's one more. Don't freak out when you see this. This is a very long one, but I chose this example because I like the way it shows the intonation that we use that goes with lists when we're speaking about a list. So I will read this 3 times and then we'll build it back up from the back. I'll bring the sandwiches and fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks. I'll bring the sandwiches and fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks. I'll bring the sandwiches and fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks. Okay, so I also add in these. My students say that this is helpful when I do my hand gestures, and you can kind of just make up your own as you get practice with this. So those are the 3. Okay, now repeat after me. Drinks. Is there anybody participating? Alex and Agnes and okay. Let's see. Drinks.
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 The drinks.
The
The
drinks.
drinks.
And the drinks.
And the drinks.
Dessert and the drinks.
Desserts and the drinks.
The dessert and the drinks.
The
The
desserts and the drinks.
Nice. Bring the dessert and the drinks.
Bring the
Bring the
desserts
dessert
and the
and the
drinks.
You bring the dessert and the drinks.
You bring the
You bring
desserts and the drinks.
Nice. And you bring the dessert and the drinks.
And you bring the dessert.
the desserts and the drinks.
Okay, now this is where it gets a little bit tricky. Hang on one second. Now, okay, this because I want to imitate the way, the intonation, right? But because we're coming from backwards, it's a little tricky. So listen to this. So we just did, and you bring the dessert and the drinks. That's the last part. But now, fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks. Okay, try that. Fruit,
Fruits.
and you bring
Fruit,
Fruit,
and the dessert and the drinks.
and fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks.
And
And
fruits.
fruit,
And you
and you
bring
bring the dessert and the drinks.
drinks.
Nice. Sandwiches and fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks.
Sandwiches and fruits. And you bring the
the
desserts and the drinks.
The sandwiches and fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks.
The sandwiches and the fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks.
Bring the sandwiches and fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks.
Bring the
Bring the
sandwiches and
sandwiches and
fruits. And you bring the
the
desserts
dessert
and
and the
the
drinks.
drinks.
I'll bring the sandwiches and fruit, and you bring the dessert and the drinks.
I will bring the
I'll
sandwiches and fruits. And you bring the
the
dessert
dessert
and the
and the
drinks.
drinks.
Beautiful. So nicely done. Are you starting to feel like you could use this in your classes a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah, it's really, really wonderful. I mean, it's just an amazing, amazing thing, tool to be able to use. Now, there was somebody who has been trying to get a turn, Mr. Isaac.
It's because he wasn't raising his hand properly, so I couldn't see him.
Yeah. Okay. So here, Mr. Isaac,
Yeah,
would
let
you
me
like
get
to
him.
try one of these?
Mr. Isaac Heaney, please unmute yourself.
Please, I've done it.
Good.
Okay. So which one do you want to try? You can try one of these.
Please, number one. There are both doctors, aren't they?
Hold on.
So you have
Please,
to
can I
say
go
the
ahead?
first sentence 3 times. You have to say the full thing
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah. Please, can I go ahead?
Yes,
Yes, please.
Okay, there are both doctors, aren't they? There are both doctors, aren't they? There are both doctors, aren't they? They,
They,
aren't they?
aren't they?
Aren't they?
Yes. Aren't they?
Aren't they?
Aren't they?
Both doctors, aren't they?
Both doctors. aren't
Doctors, aren't they?
Aren't they?
They are both doctors, aren't they?
They're
They're
both
both
doctors.
Both
doctors,
doctors,
aren't
aren't
they?
they?
Nice. All right. Woohoo. Good things come to those who wait. All right. That was wonderful. All right. So now I think you have an idea of how to use back chaining. And here are some other ways that you can find material to use. So this one was a children's class that I was observing. And the teacher, this was when everything was still on Zoom. And so I was observing a Zoom class. And this was a really, really young group. This was like 4 and 5-year-olds online. It's amazing. And they had, she had them setting up for an art project. And what she did was she said, okay, everybody, show me your paper, show me your glue sticks, show me your scissors, which was a fabulous classroom management, online classroom management technique to make sure that these little kids, these littles were all ready to do the art project that she was leading. And so when we had our feedback session, I thought, oh, you could do this. You could do you could do this with them to help reinforce that. So it was show me your paper, glue sticks and scissors. Okay, so I made one like that. We don't have to practice it. But here's another one. Now, when I'm observing classes in South America, I don't know if this is usual all over the place, but I see this all the time in the classes that I was observing, where somebody would say something like, Miss, finish, Miss, finish, Miss, finish, right? And so two things. One, I think there's a classroom management thing we might want to do, but that's another topic. But they're saying finish when what we're looking for is for them to say, I'm finished. Now, maybe they don't have that grammar yet. They're really little or they're novice level, but they can learn that as a chunk, right? We talk about learning chunks. So this is another technique. You can use back chaining to practice that final ED ending. So the teacher could say, yes, miss, I am finished. Yes, miss, I am finished. Yes, miss, I am finished. And then you do finished. And finished. I am finished. Miss, I am finished. Yes, miss, I am finished. And that way they hear that. Look at how many times they've heard finished, finished, finished. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times and have the chance to practice. So if you do this for every day for a week, there's going to be you're going to be able to help change some of those patterns where they reinforce the final ED ending that is missing from a lot of people's speech. Another example was just this was a unit on health, and somebody said, so we want to encourage, we can use it to help practice and encouraging students to give longer answers than just one word, right? So a teacher said, is it for a headache? And the student answered back pain. Okay, so then I would say, okay, this is what we talked about in our feedback session. I would say to the student, longer, please. And on the first week, my students know if I do this, that means I want a longer answer. So then the teacher could say it's for back pain. Okay, and then build that back up again. Okay, so we can use it to practice all kinds of things. Or here, it's back chaining gets our mouths around all the little words. So here's one. We won't all do this together, but I'll just do it quickly so that you can hear it. Our first choice is to go to the museum. Okay, museum. Listen to how all the little words kind of go together. This is really helpful for students to get their mouths around all the little words. Museum. And practice with yourself at home right now. Museum. The museum. To the museum. Go to the museum. To go to the museum. Is to go to the museum. Choice is to go to the museum. First choice is to go to the museum. Our first choice is to go to the museum. Okay? So that's an example of how you can use something. It's not a long sentence, but it has a lot of little words in it that get pushed together in English. Okay, now I want to move on because I have some other things. So that we're moving on from back chaining for a bit, but it's a very useful tool, and I really hope that you try it out in your classes because my students really have loved it. That's why I keep using it. If they hated it, I would not still be using it after all these years. Now, here's a really interesting one. I got this from a podcast a long time ago, one of the early podcasts, about word stress by Kenneth Baer is his name. And he has you can look him up online. He has a podcast that goes with this. And I play that for my students sometimes so they can hear it. But today I will just lead this for you. Word stress can change the message meaning. Okay, so for example, I gave John that book. Pretty clear, right? But what happens when we change the stress? We put the stress on different words of the sentence. So at home right now, just practice this yourself too. So I gave John that book, just the first one. But I gave John that book. Okay, try it at home. meaning I was the one who gave it to John, not Ali, not Nuria, not anybody else. I gave John that book. Okay. Oops. I gave John that book. Okay. I gifted it to him. I didn't lend it to him or sell it to him. I gave him that book. Where's my, oh, here we go. I gave John that book. Okay. I gave it to John, not Xiomara. Okay. Or I gave John that book. I gave him that book, not this one or this one or that one. I gave him that book. Or I gave John that book. Okay, not the CD, not the DVD, not the online version, not the CD-ROM. Okay, so actually it's really interesting that word stress can change the message meaning. So we, and this is a really fast little lesson that I have done, and students really get it. They get it really quickly. And then I put them in pairs and have them working on some for themselves. Okay, now using authentic materials. What are authentic materials? Movie clips, YouTube videos, TV ads, songs, poetry, what else? And so on. Now, what authentic materials, the definition of an authentic material is something that is not created for classroom purposes. It's created for people in the culture, right? So that's when we're using movies and YouTube videos and songs and poetry and TV advertisements and all of that. And this is a really great way for both native speaking and non-native speaking teachers to practice stress, intonation, prosody, speaking in different registers, and so on. So here is an example we have. Now we're going to, this is a technique called shadowing. So what you do is you find a really useful, any kind of like an advertisement. This is an ad for insurance, car insurance. And this, you'll see in a minute, I'll play this. And the idea behind this is you play it a couple of times, the video a couple of times, and then students listen and work in pairs to match the intonation and the pronunciation and to match as much as possible. And that's why it's called shadowing, right? They're trying to shadow and to make the sounds the same. This is really useful tool for your own pronunciation development and also for your students. So here's the commercial.
Call you back. Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart. Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there.
What a day.
With car insurance for when things go wrong,
What a day!
but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Okay, so now I would play that a couple of times for my students, and then I would have this on the screen for them to look at, or on a piece of paper, maybe, although I'm trying to use less and less paper if possible, so we can put this on the screen. And then students can work on it with each other. If we were in the same room, I would have you all just practicing this with each other, trying to shadow. But are there two people? Let's see, do we have two people who would like to try to do this, try to do match the sounds? I'll play the commercial one more time. And then if there are two people who want to try either the girl version or the guy version, you can try matching it. So you can think about volunteering, and Ms. Doreen, you can set that up maybe while I show the video one more time.
Yes.
Call you back.
You kindly raise
Is this
your
my
hand.
car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart. Shut up.
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there.
What a day.
With car insurance for when things go wrong,
What a day!
but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Now, what I love so especially about this particular example is how the script is exactly the same in both conversations, but they have completely different experiences and different meanings and different tones of voice, right? So I have my students playing around. I spend a few minutes on this and I have them trying different parts, trying the different conversations and everything. So do we have two people who want to try one of them?
Yes.
Okay, we have Mr.
Okay.
Patrick and somebody else volunteered before too.
Yeah. I unmuted. Where is she? I think she's gone off.
Oh, maybe she lost her connection.
Anyone else? Okay, Indra. Okay, we have two people now.
Great. Okay.
Hello, please. Can we start?
Yes, please start.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
Or you can do the other part. You can do, this can't be, oh, well, yeah, go ahead. Just pick whatever lines you want. That's fine. You're matching very well. Go ahead, keep going.
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, shut up. What a day.
Good. All right. Very, very nice. So when, you know, it's a little easier when everybody's together in the same room. So
Shut up, huh? What a day.
excellent. Very, very nice. That's so good. Thank you. Okay. Big round of applause for our performers. Thank you so much. So keep your eyes out for good ads that you can use that help, that have really interesting intonation like this, that then the students can try to match and shadow. And because it's a physical thing. And if they do a little bit of it, you know, a little bit every week, it will really, really help.
Call you back.
Oops. Okay, we practiced. All right, now, jazz chants. So I love to combine authentic materials, using them, authentic materials to create chants. And chants, kind of like the back chaining, but even more so, allow students to turn off their brains and just feel the music and rhythm of the language. And chants also allow us to explore complex grammatical structures and the functions that they serve in English. So I'm going to, this is something, now this is a scene from a movie from quite a long time ago. It's a movie from the 90s called Black Widow. It's a really fun thriller. It's a really interesting movie. But what, and this is, I use this more for teacher training purposes or only if I'm working with an advanced class. The language is a little bit tricky for novice level students or even intermediate level students. But I use this with my student teachers and I use this in workshops, but I have taught some advanced classes before where we used this scene. Now, one of the things I love about it is it's a scene, it's a 1-minute scene, so I can show it in my class. And also though, it comes right in the middle of the movie. So then I have my students speculating what's going on, what's happening, who are these people, what's their job, what are they talking about? And so rather than having comprehension questions, it really boosts their thinking to higher order thinking questions, okay? So that's another topic for a different day, but this is what I'm doing here. But I also use transcripts. I make my own transcripts from movies. And then this is what it is. So I'm going to just read this aloud for you so you can hear it. And you could do this for shadowing like we did the other one. But I'm going to show you some chanting things that we can do with it. So there's two characters, one named Bruce and one named Alex. And Alex actually is a woman, not a man. And they are in Bruce's office. Okay, so Bruce says, it's not a reason. I was in the room with him. He was 4 feet away from me. And what were you supposed to do? I don't know. I just should have said it. I should have told him. And he'd have believed you, which means he would have believed you. He would have had a chance. I didn't give him a chance. Hey, he would have gone straight to her with it, and then you're blown, and then she's gone. And maybe he's alive. Alex, you don't quit your job. 6 years to go chasing after some phantom. She's not a phantom. Okay, so it's 1 minute of a movie scene, but it has, I have developed like 2 weeks worth of materials just from this one scene. But what we're going to focus on today is the chanting. So let me go back for a quick second. So here, this is the transcript. And then what I did is I made a chant. These are all lines from the transcript, right? And then everything that's in bold are things that are related. They aren't in the transcript, but they're related sentences. So you'll see I have an opportunity to do some synonyms and look at grammar choices. And so we'll do a few of these together. So just please practice, open your mouths and practice out loud in your own home. You can keep on mute, but we'll give this a try. Now, well, let's do it together and then I'll talk a little bit about the results. So it's not a reason. It's not a reason. And then my students repeat after me. And then I do a little back build up here, a little back chain. A reason, not a reason. It's not a reason. It's not. It's nada. Okay. Instead of it's not a, I push it together. It's nada. It's not a reason. Okay. Because I'm doing it like they say it. So again, I'm sort of shadowing what the actors are saying in the movie. Then I expand it in the bold to add extra words so they can see how to make their sentences bigger. It's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. That's not a very good reason. That's not a good reason at all. That's a terrible reason. That's an awful reason. That's a bad reason. It's a bad reason. Okay, so with chanting, you can really get in there with the movement. Okay, I just should have said it. Okay, I just should have said it. And then we do a little back chaining. Said it, should have said it, should have said it, just should have said it, just should have said it. I just should have said it. Okay, I really should have said it. I probably should have said it. I definitely should have said it. I think I should have said it. I really wish I'd said it. I really wish I'd said it. I should have done it. I should have read it. Okay, so we're using the chanting format now to explore all these different grammatical forms that are really, really tricky for our students to pronounce. But they don't have to think about the grammar. They're just following the grammar, right? They're just saying it. So it helps it kind of get in there, right? And then here's some extras over here. So I go back to that again. And then I should have told her. I should have told them. I should have told you. He should have told me. She should have told me. We should have told them. Okay, so substituting pronouns, and they can see how that changes the message, changes the meaning, and all these different pieces. It also really reinforces how we use the modal should plus the perfect to express regret in the past, right? And this brings it to life so much more than any flat explanation that any grammar book is going to be telling you or telling your students. Okay, we can also use it to explore. So here, in this part of the chant, I have students saying a chance, have a chance, have had a chance, have had, okay, to reinforce that. And then I add in all these different verbs: have gone, have said, have done, have eaten, have told, have given, okay, have had, would have gone, would have said, would have done, would have eaten, would have told, would have given, would have had a chance. He would have had a chance. He would have had a good time. He would have had something to eat. He would have had some time to himself, okay, and all these different examples. So there's lots of different things. And the beauty of this is if you really devote a few minutes to it and you get going leading it and you following the rhythm, right? He would have had a chance. He would have had a good time. He would have had something to eat. He would have had some time to himself. Okay, blah, blah, blah. What I have discovered, this is one of the few things I have done where when I finished at the end of about 5 or 7 minutes, the students spontaneously burst into applause. I just started cheering. And I was, the first time it happened, I was very surprised, but it happened many times before. And I realized it's because, again, we have helped them to do something they cannot do on their own, that they're not doing, that is very hard for them. And suddenly they were able to do this. So I want to make sure, I have a couple more things, and then we're getting there. You can also do this with your students. Really, really, really fun. And my students love this. So we try the same phrase, but you try different emphasis for different message meaning and for different message meaning. So everybody try this at home. Repeat after me. I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Right. But I don't know. Okay. Maybe she does, but I don't know. Or I don't know. Okay. You think I know, but I don't know. Okay. Or I don't know or understand or anything. Okay. Or you can do it like, I don't know. Or I don't know. Or I don't care. Right. Oh, I don't know. Or confused. I don't know. Or interested and curious. I don't know. Or furious. I don't know. Right? My students love that one because they don't usually see me like that. So think about different ones that you can do. And then think about words that you can use to practice with your students. Now, here's a fun just a miscellaneous tip. There's a lot of research now that's talking about, especially with beginning level students, that we don't really want to ask them to read out loud. It can actually have more of a negative effect on them, that they're so insecure about their reading that it ends up having, like, it raises their affective filters, basically. It makes them more shy about it. But intermediate level students, it's fine. And certainly advanced level students can be reading out loud. But one thing I will do, even with novice level students, if I ask them to practice, I might say, okay, Prudence, read the directions to activity B. On page 34 of our book, right? We're doing an exercise from the textbook, but I might say, Prudence, read the directions to activity B as if you are really happy. Or Samuel, please read the next sentence as if you are very angry. Or Doreen, read the paragraph as if you are tired or hungry or bored or apathetic. And so suddenly they're not thinking about their mistakes or reading or their ability. They're trying to just get into the role play of it. And it adds this element of fun. And it just, I don't know, I started doing this several years ago, and my students, it just makes them laugh. So whenever I can get my students to laugh in a good way, I feel that's useful. All right. So insert pronunciation breaks every day as needed from your textbook, from an authentic material, and when students are stumbling over a challenging word or phrase. All right, so that takes us now to question time and your takeaways. I'm very interested to know, what will you use next week? I don't know about unmuting. I don't know if I will let the directors of this decide about that. But you can certainly put your questions in the chat. And then what techniques and tools are going to be useful for you? What do you think you can try right away? And what questions do you still have? And just very quickly, I'm going to say my thank you. But first, let's go back to this. Okay. Good. Back chaining. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Back chaining. Yeah, back chaining. I hope you have fun, as much fun with it as I do. I love back chaining, and my students really love it. That's why I've been doing it for more than 30 years. Anybody else? Back chaining. Okay, good. The back chaining really landed for people. In the last, when I gave this session at TESOL, that's what people were saying the most too. And I spent a lot, that's why I spent a long time on it, because I think it's actually really useful for you. Oh, okay. Oh, you should be the co-host. Okay. Oh, I see. Sorry, I have to do one technical thing here, and I am old school. I am not very good at doing two things at once. So give me just a moment here. Make co-host. And okay, you said make co-host, yes? And unmute. Where did you go again? Ah. Oh, there we go.
Hello, everyone. If you'd like to ask your question, you can raise your hand and I'll unmute you and then you ask your question, or you want to make a contribution or a comment, please just raise your hand and then I would allow you to do that. Thank you.
Oops.
Or you can simply type it in the chat room. I'll read it out for you. Okay, we have one hand up. Mr. Samuel. Okay. Please go ahead with your question.
Yes, please. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Yes, Miss Laura, thanks so much for the tips you've given to us. My first question is that are these interesting tips that you have given to us applicable to all levels of education? And
Yeah.
the second question is that what is the role of phonetic transcription in the teaching of pronunciation? And the phonetic transcription, is this really a very helpful tool? I mean, if we are to use the phonetic transcription as a way of teaching pronunciation to our students. I actually have a third question, but I want you to.
Okay, well, I'm old now, so
respond.
let me answer them one at a time, because I won't be able to
Please
remember.
hold on. Let her take care of that one first.
I've already forgot the first question. The first question was, oh, all levels of, can we use it with, yes.
All levels.
With all levels of pages. So, for example, many of my examples are everybody from pre-kindergarten to adults. I've used these with, and I suggest them with. So absolutely, they're applicable to every age, and you can do it online. It's not as easy online. It's really great if you are in the same classroom together. I think it's most effective when we're all together in the same room. Now, your second question, the phonetic alphabet. I love that you asked that. So here's my thinking. I am not an expert on this, and I was not trained in using the phonetic alphabet. So I'm very shaky with the phonetic alphabet, actually, and I do not tend to use it as a tool in my classes. However, I do know some teachers who do, and use it very effectively because it was their training, and they were really well trained in it. And I think I've observed, I have a colleague two colleagues actually, who were highly trained in teaching pronunciation. So I do peer observation with them at least once or twice a year, where I say, can I come and just watch what you're doing so I can get some new ideas and learn how you're doing some of these things. And one teacher in particular uses the phonetic alphabet, especially with certain students. I think if you know it and you have certain students who that's how they think, then yeah, it's a good tool to use. It's not a useful tool for me because I'm not very good at it. And my other problem with it is I feel like it makes students think too much. What I like about back chaining and shadowing and all the different techniques that I demonstrated today is that they take students out of the thinking part of it and they turn it into just feeling and hearing. And I feel like for pronunciation, stress, intonation, and prosody, that's much more useful for me. But I highly encourage anybody who is well trained in using the phonetic alphabet to put that as one of your tools in your pocket that you use. I wouldn't teach a whole class on it because I think, again, it's too intellectual, and I want to do things that are more experiential with my students. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
I hope so. Okay.
We have another question in the chat room.
Okay, yes, please.
It's from Mr. Amal. I don't know if it's a male or female, but Amal Gassem. Is forward chaining, does it have the same effects as back chaining?
Oh, I love that question. I think it's different. I think it's a good thing to do together. I use both together. I use back chaining. I think back chaining does something a little bit differently. It's back chaining. I'm not sure what it's doing in the brain, but I think it has a brain effect. And, you know, I might, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to stop sharing right now. That's okay. So I think it has, I think that back chaining operates on your brain in one way and forward chaining does it a slightly different way. And so using the two together, combining them, going back and forward, doing one, coming at it from every direction, I think is really useful. So for me, I do forward, what you're calling forward chaining, I do that with chanting, okay? So I do, and especially like, remember the example, it's not a, right? So that would be like forward chaining, right? What you're calling forward chaining. I don't know that that's a real term that's used, but we understand it. So now it is. Is it like using both brain hemispheres? I kind of think so. I think it is. I am not a brain scientist and I have not done a lot of brain science research or study, but I do know that it's tapping into different parts of the brain. Okay, other questions?
At the moment, we don't have any other questions in the chat room.
Okay, so I put my email address in here. And if you would like to in the chat, if you would like to email me with any questions. Oh, here's a question.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, from Samuel. How do we as teachers of English help students who have speech disorder in teaching pronunciation class? Okay. I love that question because I was a student who had a speech disorder. Not a huge one, but I had an important one because I could not say the letter L. I swallowed it. I said L. So I was making it in the back of my mouth. I mean, in the back of my throat. And my name is Laura Gail Holland. I could not say my own name until I was 10 years old, not properly. And people would tease me, or they would call me Glora or Gloria because it sounded like Laura. And nobody knew, people didn't know my name was Laura. And then finally in 5th grade, I had a speech lesson. We were given the opportunity. Does anybody want to go for a speech lesson? And I said, yes, please. And it took me one lesson because the teacher said, put your tongue here. She said, you're swallowing your tongue. Your tongue is in the back of your mouth. Take your tongue and tap it to the top of your teeth, your front teeth, and then you'll be able to say it. And so I said, oh, Laura. Oh, Laura Gail Holland. It took me one lesson. So now your students might not be able to solve their speech issues that way, but I think that teaching, using some of these games and pronunciation things can really help with some of the pronunciation. My husband also had a speech thing when he was young, and he said instead he couldn't say R's or L's. And so he would say, instead of the lion roared, he would say the lion whoa. And so, but he had speech lessons, and speech lessons do work. Now, do you have enough time to do that with your students? That could be very tricky. That's another question. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Anything else anybody wants to know about, or what you're going to try? I'm so glad that you love back chaining. Try the shadowing technique also. I think that would be fantastic. Your students, I think that shadowing is a really exceptional way, especially when you are a non-native speaker of English, teaching non-native speakers of English, of course, that's who our students are. And so shadowing is a fantastic technique to be able to kind of try to make your mouth and your ears go closer to the sounds. And then that way, you know, of course, again, as we were talking about in the beginning of the session, we definitely don't want to imply that there is only one way to say things. Of course, there's not. There's a real variety and a real variation of how many, real variation on how much we can understand. But if we get too far away, or there are too many differences, that's when the breakdown in communication happens. All right. Any questions? Let's see. Oh,
That's
here.
great. Mr. Samuel, how do we assist non-native learners of English who do negative transfers from their L1 in teaching pronunciation class?
Well, that's so negative transfer. Interestingly, I don't phrase it that way because that has a very negative feeling. So I like to just think of it more as, rather than a negative transfer, is more like the pronunciation from their language is kind of pushing too much on, it's taking too far away. Now, for example, when I'm working in South America, almost everybody is saying E instead of I, for example, right? And so they're saying, thin, right? Thin, you know, okay. And our ears can adjust that for that. But I would say that what we want to do is listen and kind of analyze when your speakers, when your students, when there's too much variation and you're having trouble understanding what they're saying. As long as their message is getting across, you don't have to worry about it that much. But if the message is not getting across, or communication is breaking down, or people are saying, what, then maybe focus on what is the sound that's causing the biggest problem. Is it the final consonant at the end? Is it the vowel sounds? Is it not syllables? Is it stress? Yeah, mother tongue interference. Exactly. That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been quite a session. Very packed, very interactive, and I believe all of us will agree that this is what we needed.
Oh.
Reinforce some of the things we're already doing, and then give us new tricks to use in the classroom to make the lessons more effective. Miss Laura, we can't say thank you enough. We are so grateful you gave us these hours of your time, and would do well to use them in our lessons. And I'm sure as the days go on, those who have further questions will reach out to you in your email, and then you can help them out there. Thank you so much. And for our participants, we are so grateful you could come and join us. I know it's different time zones, but you all stayed with us till now. So I'm going to do a little something here, Miss Laura. I would like to share my screen just a little bit.
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
Let me do that for you. There we go.
Okay. Okay, so let me share the slide view. Okay, is that okay now? Yes. Okay, so wow, we've done like almost more than 2 hours actually, and it's been great. It's been great. We cannot leave here without saying thank you. And the little we can do is to award Miss Laura with this certificate of recognition for doing us the honors today. This is for her invaluable service rendered as a resource speaker for our 15th international webinar entitled Teaching Pronunciation, Daily Tips, awarded on this 13th day of May, 2023. Signed by all, Dr. Neil, our international president, Dr. Glenn, our academic director, Mr. Ebenezer, our founder and director in Ghana, Ms. Fati, our president in Ghana, Mr. Jacob Masu, our vice president, and our academic director, Mr. Alfred Kato. We are all so grateful for your time, Ms. Laura. We love having you, and we know we'll have you more in the future.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's such a joy and a pleasure to be with so many excited, enthusiastic teachers. Gets my blood flowing.
Yes. So let me, please do well to fill the attendance form before you log out, because that is what we are going to use to generate your certificate. And thank you so much for coming. We wish everybody a good day, evening, afternoon, morning. Thank you so much. Enjoy yourselves.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night day.
Thank you, Miss Laura.
In the Philippines, it's after 2 a.m. for her in the Philippines. Wow, Sheila, May, woohoo, I think you get a special award.
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you, everybody. Oh, happy Mother's Day. How sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, so if you send me an email, I will send you a PDF of the PowerPoint.
Thank you, Miss Laura.
You know what? Please send me an email, because don't send me your email here in the chat, because the chat's going to disappear, and I usually I can save it, but I don't see how I can save it now. So it's not showing me to save it.
Hello, Miss Laura.
Oh, yes.
Oh, unfortunately, I can turn on my camera, but then that's what I'm going to do. I'll send the PowerPoint slides to all the participants. I have their emails, so I'm going to send it to them right after the session when we have.
Oh, that's even better. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me make you a PDF of it. I'm going, because I want to send a PDF of it.
Okay.
So I will send you that as soon as we're finished, and then you distribute it to everybody. So fantastic.
Thank you
Thank
for that
you.
awesome session.
But if you have questions, please use my email, and feel free to, or if you're in the WhatsApp mentoring group, put your questions.
Yes.
That's a great place for questions.
Yes.
And I will continue answering the questions that you wrote before registering. I just had a terrible deadline this week, and I could only do some.
Yeah.
I'll do more.
We enjoyed all the interactions in the mentoring page.
Yeah, me too. It's really great. Okay. Does anybody have any final questions here now, or?
I don't see any other questions in the chat room.
No, me neither. All right.
Yes.
I see Gabriela up top. Gabriela, where are you at? Where are you logging in from?
Let me unmute her.
Good morning. Well, now, good afternoon from my side. I am from Peru, and I can see the flag also behind you, Ms. Lord.
Where in Peru?
Lima. Exactly off Chaclacayo. It's yeah.
I work in Chiclayo.
No, Chaclacayo.
Oh, Chaclacayo. Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah. I hear you.
Lima is divided in different districts, so I live in Chaclacayo.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. It's Thank you for coming.
It was my pleasure to attend your session, Miss Holland. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
With good insights. Thank you so much, Miss Doreen.
Thank
Is
you,
that Gabriela,
Gabriela.
Jacqueline?
Right.
Yes.
Well, I will wish you all
Yes.
very good.
Thank you. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Should I just end it or?
I think just checking. Please make sure you fill the attendance form before you log out.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Mansour. I've been seeing your name everywhere lately. Pakistan. Did I work with you? You didn't come to that wasn't you at the University of Oregon, was it? Dr. Mansour Ali Darazi? Sorry, my eyes are bad. Maybe
I think Dr. Mansour is in Pakistan. Yeah.
He's in Pakistan, but we worked with a whole group of Pakistani teachers a couple of years ago.
Oh.
Okay. So Amadou says that the attendance form isn't responding.
Oh, that's weird.
Well, I think it has got to do with the participants' email or
because
internet connection because it's working.
I just checked and it is working.
Were some people able to use the attendance sheet?
Yeah. It may be a problem at the end.
Yes, I'm sure. Wow, it's been a wonderful session. More than 2 hours.
Yes.
You are very dedicated teachers.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's always such a pleasure.
Pleasure is ours.
Okay, I'll leave this open now while you're still working with the
Yeah, sorry, we are keeping you a little bit longer.
It's fine. I'm reading messages that are coming in anyway.
Okay.
So the attendance form has been posted in the chat box once again for those of us who are not able to fill in the form. So far, 86 of our participants have filled in the form.
Okay.
So if you have been able to fill out the form, kindly log out of the session so that you will know those who are yet to do so. The number keeps increasing. Okay, we have 30 now. Let's see.
Thank you, Ms. Laura.
Thank you, Miss Doreen. You are amazing.
Can you please resend a link to the attendance? Yes, it's there. The scale of rating is changed on the attendance sheet. 5 being strongly disagree. Well, that's not true. Kindly check your device. I don't know whether, even if you are using a phone, you should get the same rating
I'm
there.
looking at it
For
here
not
and
responding. Please check it well. Check your internet connection. The form is working. It's responding. It's the same same form that we are all filling out. So if it's working for someone, it should work for you. If it's not working for you, you check your internet connection. All right, so in the next 1 minute, we are going to end the meeting. So please do well to fill out the form. If you've not been able to do so, kindly copy the link and paste it somewhere else so that you'll be able to do that later. Thank you all for coming.
And thank you. My muted. Oh, I'm not muted. Thank you. So, Mr. Ebenezer, then you said I did receive several emails already. And you said that you're going to send it to the emails of people. I mean, I can also.
Yes, I'm going to do that. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much.
Hello, Miss Laura. Could you make me the host one more time? I want to check something.
Oh, of course.
Thank you.